Hello again. Well, with all of these warnings to Israel from the prophets to turn back to God, they still had troubles doing that. They still wanted to do things their own way and forget about God. That was the last thing on their list, was to think about God, after God had been so kind to them and bailed them out so many times. They were not grateful. Well, as time went on, another prophet came on the scene. I'm so glad there was a school of the prophets that Elisha had helped to set up, because it seems like they were very much needed. But there was a family that lived not just outside of Jerusalem a ways, and they had a young boy. His name was Jeremiah, and it was in Jeremiah's heart to love God. His folks had taught him to do that, and he wanted to, even if they had told him or not, I think, because it says it was in his heart. And Jeremiah was another prophet. He loved the Lord with all of his heart, but he was shy. He was an introvert, a very shy boy, and he used to go up to the temple, and many people were not going to the temple anymore. Just forget the whole thing. Even after they promise, it seems like 5 minutes later, they're unpromising. But Jeremiah used to go up to the temple, and again, the Lord told him, just like he had told Isaiah, I will put it in your mouth. He did the same thing with Jeremiah, and he said, Jeremiah, I know you're an introvert, my translation. He said, but I'm going to give you the ability and the courage to speak my word. And so Jeremiah went out and he started to do that as a young boy, even though he was, the scriptures make it a point to say he was an introvert. And, but he did it anyway. And the things he was telling the people, he even wrote in a book and was telling about God in a book. But he would also go out and tell the people, even though he was shy and he was quiet. Seemed like a very unlikely prophet. But there was a terrible king at that time. His name was Zedachia. He was just awful. And this was the king of Israel. He was just as bad as the Assyrians that had taken a lot of the people captive. And Zedekiah wanted to hear more about this shy young boy, but because someone had said their group of people had thrown him down into a dungeon, and he got word of this, and he wanted to know why and stuff. He talked to him, but he said, oh, what's your problem here, little old prophet boy? And so Jeremiah told him about the Lord and what the Lord was going to do to Israel if they didn't turn back to God. And he says, what's that in your hand, little old prophet boy? And Jeremiah says, it's a book I've been reading, a book I've been writing about God and about what God wants from the people and his ways. And the king said, let me see that book you're writing. And so Jeremiah gave him the book. And Jeremiah and the king, Zedekiah, started to read the book. And my translation, he says hogwash, and he started tearing Jeremiah's book apart, page by page, or it was like, I don't know how he was doing it, but it says it, he tore it out like page by page. And he threw it in the fire. Oh, poor Jeremiah. And Jeremiah was very sad and sick about this. And King Zedekiah did worse than throw him in a dungeon. He had him thrown down into a well, a wet, muddy well pit full of mud. And some people heard about this, and they went and they rescued Jeremiah out of that well. But you know what happened to King Zedekiah? Babylon now comes in, and King Nebuchadnezzar comes and destroys the temple and takes a lot of things out of the temple and is killing people. He's going to take them into Babylonian captivity. Not the Syrians this time. This time it's King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. And so Jeremiah was pulled out of that pit. But Zedekiah, Babylon took Zedekiah to a special place, and he got to watch the Babylonians kill and torture his two sons, torture them and then kill them. And Zedekiah, and they put out the sons' eyes. Zedekiah got to watch this happen to his sons. And then they took Zedekiah and they did the same thing to him. They grabbed him and they took out each of his eyes. Ouch. And they hauled him off to Babylon. They put him in a prison cell and he died there. And so that was how they all went into Babylonian captivity. It was a sad, sad time. And Jeremiah cried. In fact, it says he's called the weeping prophet because he knows what Israel could have been. It means prince and ruler with God. And the people's hearts were far away from God. They didn't want to even think about God or his ways. And so you can ask any theologian, any historian, any person on the street today, Jeremiah is called the weeping prophet. So that's how they all got taken into Babylonian captivity. And that's where I started up last time ended last time. So anyway, I'm getting my words all crossed up here. But I'm going to leave it off there right now. But they're in Babylonian captivity now, and the temple is in ruins. Oh, poor Israel. Awful. Okay. Be back. Bye-bye.